First question we have is from Sonny Fro. Hi, I recently watched videos from Billy Carson and the Y Files where they say that Anunnaki beings created us humans here on Earth. So who are we praying to under the three Abrahamic religions? Thank you. As usual, we always say to people, when people put out information, you have to address your questions, concerns to them, because we really defend or clarify or expound on or give you clarity on the teachings of our master teacher, on the teachings of Wu-Sabat. You see, so you have to really ask Billy Carson questions. However, when you say the Anunnaki beings created us, this is one of those words, little words like we and us are small, but very impactful, because who is the us? The people tend to think that when you say us, it's applying to everyone. It doesn't apply to everyone. A lot of people know about the Anunnaki, but they don't know about the Natharu, our ancestors that were here first, the original. Okay, so when you say beings created us, you're referring to gravitations, and many different gravitations took place, not just from the Anunnaki, right, but the Anunnaki and the Pleiadians, they were responsible. When we say gravitation or being created, you create things from that which already exists. To create is to take something and then expound or expand it and grow it. So yes, it's not referring to, I don't know who, when you say us, you have to be very specific, because the Adamites are a specific species that were created, a hybrid species, because you have to take what already exists. And the Anunnaki took, beings that were evolving naturally and already existed, and then injected their DNA and produced what they referred to as a Lulu Amilu, or a primitive worker, okay? Because when they came here and settled in a place and called it Iridu, which means home away from home, they started to mine gold, because that was their purpose. But they found that the atmosphere and the work was strenuous and very hard for them to do. So they went about creating a being that was going to be a slave or primitive worker to help them mine the gold. So when you say, who are we praying to? Then we have to address prayer, or what is prayer? What's the purpose of prayer? And what is the need for prayer? Who are you praying to? And why does, I don't know who you're referring to, God, Allah, whatever name you're using, why do they need prayers if they already know your thoughts and your mind, and they know what you think, and they know everything, as they claim? So what is the purpose of praying? And you say under the three Abrahamic religions, the beings you're praying to under the three Abrahamic religions are these Anunnaki beings, okay? And the monotheistic religions, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they are all one and the same in terms of the names that you're calling on. And, whether you say Yahweh, whether you say Allah, whether you say Adonai, Jehovah, Elohim, all of these names are describing these beings, and each one can be explained and broken down. You say Yah and Wei, you're dealing with agreeable and disagreeable, or seraphim and cherubim. Elo or Elohim is dealing with a group of beings, and the Elo would be one singular, and then you're dealing with Enki and Enlil. When you're saying Baal, all these names you're using like Yahweh, Baal, these are referring to Enlil and Enki, and sometimes it's a group of beings where it's relating to, you know, more than one. You see, when you say God, you're really, or Allah, you're really saying Anu. That's who you're referring to. And he would be their father. So when you're asking that question, you're really, that's why we're saying to you that you have to know which specific being you're calling on, and what name you're using, what tone, what vibration that gives, and what you're invoking when you're using those tones, you see. So to answer your question directly again, address whatever Billy Carson is putting out to him. And many people are now talking about the Anunnaki beings creating, as you said, humans, but you have a hierarchy of beings, from supreme being to human being to human, to man to mankind, to beast, to demons, ghouls, all types of beings that are being addressed and referred to and spoken about in these books. And these books were taken from the Anunnaki stories or the Sumerian stories, the Tablet of Creation, the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, the Atrahasis. There's so many tablets that have been uncovered, and you get pieces of the story through them. You're dealing with, like I said, the epics of Gilgamesh and other stories, the stories that talk about Utnapishtim, So there are many tablets that deal with the stories that you now find in your Bible, Quran, and the books of today. All right. I hope that has helped you in some way. Pharaoh Halo Rahubat Zamal. My question is, who created the Pleiadians and how come they have no melanin? Okay, so you will find that information expounded on in the holy tablets. And it's an important question because we talk about beings on the planet, but we have to tie them into their descendancy, meaning that every race on the planet ties back to an extraterrestrial race that comes from a different solar system or star system, you see. And in order, you're going to deal with the first being what they call the Negroid or Nagar Nadu. Yeah, people say the Africans, and now it's completely irrefutable who was on this planet first by way of DNA, and that will be dealing with the descendants. When we say descendants, we're talking about it in the state of descending or coming down, as well as offspring genetically descending from those beings that descended here from other star systems. So the Neteru or Natharu were the original beings that first came to this planet, and they seeded this planet, and their offspring are the Africans, referred to by anthropologists as the Homo naledi, the Homo habilis. Okay, so that's where the root races on the planet, the first one comes from them. Okay, then you have different species of beings with dark skin, or what we would call melanated beings. Okay, and those beings, including the Anunnaki, then came here afterwards. And then you had, once other beings got to know that there was a planet rich in minerals and rich in many resources, they also started to come here. But the point in relation to your question is that those beings like Natharu, they come from like planet Risk, where the master teacher's from, and they have civilizations that are so far advanced, and they come from like Orion, from the Sirius star constellations, and you have like the Anunnaki coming from like the Arcturus. These are constellations, because once you leave the planet, you have to start studying star maps and studying. You can just Google now star maps. They show you pictorial drawings of different constellations or star systems. And when we say star systems, we're dealing with suns. When we say solar, the word solar relates to the sun. So you're dealing with a central sun or many suns that have satellites or planets revolving or attracted to that mass by the magnetic pull. So our ancestors come from many parts. We're talking about the cosmos. So that's just the main parts. Then you have, like I mentioned, the Anunnaki. You have like the next root race on the planet would be the Dravidian, right? Or what you would call the Asian or the Hindu races. Okay, they're dark skinned too. They have melanin. Everything has melanin, but I'm talking about in terms of the races. And now those with melanin, the difference between them and us is they have farah or fur, and we have wabar, which is hair. Then we have, our hair is described as being unique to us. Hair like lamb's wool, and it's 9 ether. It goes upwards. It grows towards the sun, because we have those sun heat genes. Okay, then they have straight hair or fur, right, which is flank and falls down. That's to show you that they were drawn, or they originated and came out of us. Okay, and you, with each of these races or species, you have those amongst them that have less melanin, or they're less melanated. Okay, so where you're looking at the Pleiadians, you're looking at a being that's been grafted from these Hindu beings or these Dravidians. Okay, so on the planet, those would be the Asian stock, which they now refer to. Scientists, anthropologists now refer to them as the Denisovan or the Homo florensis. Okay, so that's them, and then their offspring on the planet, the second root race. Then the third root race is going to be these beings that were drawn from the Dravidians or the Asiatics, and then you get Pleiadians that are blonde hair, blue eyes. But even within, these different species, there are countless of, extraterrestrial species. And, people have got to become familiar with some of them by way of what we've taught, by way of Parnabab Yanun, the master teacher, of course, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. So now people know about Anunnaki, they know about Teros, they know about Deros, they know about the different species of greys or Ramadians, they know about the beings known as the troglodytes, they know about we've mentioned the Ashtar Command or the Ashtar Federation, which are Pleiadian beings. They know about Procyans or Procyon, depending on how people pronounce it. They, of course, know about the Riskians. They know about the Etherians, the higher species of them. And there's so many more that are hybrids based on the mixtures of these different extraterrestrials mixing not only with themselves, but carrying out experiments and creating all types of beings with animals and different species from the seas, So there are just so many and more every day. Just like now, you have those 3 root races referred to as, the Negroid. Then you have the second one referred to as the Mongoloid, and the third one referred to as the Caucasoid, or you would say African, Asian, Caucasian. But now there are mixtures between these different root races to produce sub-races. That's a mixture between, say, an Asian and an African, or an Asian and a Caucasian, or a mixture between their offspring with other offsprings, and it just continues to create more and more different species. All right, so yeah, those original root races have their descendants from those beings, like I said, the Natharu, the Dravidians, and the Pleiadians, and then they become on the planet the different shades of melanin from the root race having the 9 ether woolly hair and down to the Caucasian, and then from that you also have Adamites, which were again a hybrid from the Caucasians. Even with the Caucasians, you have different, like you've got the Flugorods that came before the Adamites, and you have the mixture between the two of them. And then now on the planet, you have what you'd call 6 kings or Vikings, where you have different species of Caucasians as well. So you have Caucasians that like blonde hair, blue eyes. You got the ones that have green eyes and what do they call their hair type? You got blonde, you got dark skin, and you got brunettes. That's the word I was trying to find. You got different mixtures, but people just group everyone together. The Nagaru or Negroid, we say in our language, Nagar Nadu, they have 9 species. So yeah, so that's the answer to your question, Curtis. Pharaoh Halo. And what's the last part? How come they have no melanin? They have no melanin because, as I said, as you're watering down, you're getting less melanin. They do have melanin, but they're not able to produce it in abundance in the way that we are, because we are sun people, children of the sun. We come from the sun, so that's why. Thank you, Mind Your Own, for hitting that like button. Yeah, that's what we want to see, action. Okay. Right, let's move on to the next question from Strawberry Letter. Hello, my brother. It's great to have the privilege to witness you live as well as ask questions. Do you all have anyone local in Houston, Texas that gives these teachings? We always refer you to the nearest location if there isn't one in your local vicinity. So go to the website, unitedsabiansworldwide.com, and just look at contacts and look at the nearest one to you. What we're doing, why we do these videos, and the master was the first one to start, doing these types of forums, Q&A forums and answering questions, and these videos on YouTube. And he kind of created the whole debate, phenomena that everyone's jumped on. But what we're saying is we use the internet because we do know there are people in the most remote parts of the world that need this affirmation, that need Wu-Sabat, that need this doctrine, that don't have a local bookstore or a local community. So what we say is we're working our hardest to get those locations populated with, temples, bookstores, communities. And if you don't have one, you may be the satellite that can take on that mantle and be the first to gather and get other people and start study classes. But we will do our best to get the information to the world. So yeah, if there isn't one near you, go to the website, find the closest or nearest one to you. If not, you just have to join a community online, because we have our Telegram groups posted in the chat, and you can join and start asking questions and learning. There are many classes worldwide that you can join via Zoom, via Clubhouse. Many of our brothers and sisters are doing their best to teach. And obviously we have to utilize the internet, because we do realize that people are in some remote parts that don't have access to the stores and to the community. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Jeremiah. Rahubat, I've read in a scroll by Parnabab Yanun where he recommended cold baths. I don't remember if it was in the Family Guide or Sacred Feminine. My question is, are ice baths healthy for us? It's actually in the scroll, the one I remember anyway, called Healthy Living. I'm going to search and see if I've got it, but it's how to live healthy living, something like that. Yeah, it's good because not ice baths, but it's good to have what he explained to us is that your nervous system, you're able to, because once you live in a particular climate, like for example, if you live in a cold place, you get so used to just having hot showers all the time. And from time to time, it's good, or after you've had a hot shower, to have a cold one because it helps you build your nervous system. And you may find yourself in a situation where there isn't hot water. And if you've been accustomed to or training yourself to be able to do that, you know, you'll be okay. Because, for example, many people who find themselves in a motherland may not have the luxury, and people bathe with water, buckets, or showers outside and so forth in natural nature. So it is good, but nothing we do is to the extreme because it's balanced. It's kind of like you're always standing upright, okay? So your blood flows and everything flows in a particular direction. Now, from time to time, if you are able to, obviously, barring your health condition and medical conditions, etc., you might want to do a headstand, and so that you've turned yourself completely opposite, so that the blood flows in a different direction. This is all to do with circulation, and so yeah, having those cold, not so much ice shower because we avoid the extremes. It is good for you because, as I said, it helps to rejuvenate and your nervous system, get it working, getting the circulation and the blood flowing. Tua, yes, okay. But if there is another scroll that has it, we'll check the family guide as well, but I can't remember any other scroll apart from that one. All right, let's keep going. Second question, Zamal, this is from Pharaoh again. If Anu is still on the throne of the ship Nibiru, how come he has not given the throne to our master teacher, Parnabab Yanun? Yeah, Anu needs to give it up. Like this, the Anunnaki are separate from Parnataru. When you're saying Parnabab Yanun is a Natharu, it doesn't really has anything to do with the throne. But in terms of when you say Anu, there are different people that have sat on that throne. Anu is not the name, Anu is the title of the being in that position. Just like you have the highest office or the person that sits in the highest position in the country might be like the president, prime minister, the king, the emperor. These are titles. And you will have different prime ministers or different presidents or different kings or emperors. So the last Anu that we were taught about, it was the ninth one, but we haven't been updated since to say whether or not he's still the one on the throne, because obviously we have to wait and get Parnabab out, and there's so much information he's still yet to, give us. And one of the things he has spoken about is perhaps updating the holy tablets. But until then, we have master secrets, right? We did a video on part Anunnaki and the biblical interpretations, which is the master teacher going into detail about the Anunnaki, yeah, their family line and everything. So if you don't have that, seek that master secret and also watch the video, because I think we actually covered it in great detail. All right. It's not like the master teacher is interested in having a news position, because he's actually higher and greater than that. And you can read that also in the Master's Secret Series 3, if I'm not mistaken, about who he is and who Parnabab is and who Parnabab isn't. Okay? Oh, yes. Thank you for becoming a member. Strawberry Letter, that's fantastic. You get privileges, you get all the videos first, all the discounts, and basically you are first to get everything that is new and hot off the press from OSM Vision. All right. What does Wu-Sabat think about gaming, Call of Duty? Sometimes I don't know why people in Wu-Sabat are people, like in every facet of society, in terms of professionals, things you do for fun, etc. We're not stiff, like, but of course we're not extremist either. And we monitor and scrutinize what we do, so we are aware or in control of what we're doing. So you're not just playing a game that's programming you mindlessly. You're not just watching the TV and not taking in what it's doing in terms of programming you. So yeah, everything in moderation. And the young people, of course, they've grown up, playing these games. So it's a very broad question in terms of we play games and we play them for fun, not for competition. We don't get too emotional or get too carried away with them to the point where you're like, some of the young people today, they're just zombies in terms of they're just stuck in the game. Like they've made their reality the fictional world of the games. So we in control. That's what's one of the things about having responsibility, even as a parent or as someone in Wu-Sabat. You need to know that balance is required in everything we do. So it's a bit broad to say what do we think about gaming, and specifically that game as well. It's like we're promoting it, but we do know that some people get carried away and get to the extreme where as I said, they forget what real life is. Because if you're playing a game constantly and you're being programmed and you're receiving these subliminal messages and vibrations, and you think that you can, for example, in the game, you can unalive people, run over people, do all kinds of crazy stuff, and you go out in the real world, it's like there's a distortion of reality. And some of it is actually it can be harmful if you're not able to balance it, because you're going to think what you're doing in the game. The games are characters, they're not real people. They may behave and act, they're getting you to think like in the game you can earn money, you can buy things, and you can do things, go and buy food, go to the restaurant, go to the club, do all the things you would do in the physical world. This is why they're now pushing and promoting virtual reality. It's not real, but it's virtual. So yeah, the harm is that if someone is just constantly on it to the point where they're detached from reality and real life, they may go out into the real world, and their emotions and everything you have, as we teach, You have beings that ride these vibrations and frequency and can affect your mind by the frequencies of the messages they send. So you go out in the real world and you might forget that this is not reality and do something that you would get away with doing in the game, which is fictional in real life. And then now you find yourself in trouble or in a situation that, you know, that's why we say, yeah, everything in moderation, balance, and with knowledge of what we're doing. All right, let's keep going. Remember, of course, you can also call in live, right, and ask us questions. So the number for you to call, if you want to do that, is, I just saw it, I'm just going to make sure I say it right. The number is, everyone's holding and waiting. I'm sure I just saw it. Here we go. So if you're calling from outside of the United Kingdom or the UK, you can add +44 before you dial the number 753-996-3882. I repeat, +44 753-996-3882. Call in live and ask us your questions. All right, how about everyone on TikTok, by the way? I haven't forgotten about you. Great to have you all on board. You know, this is great. We have people on YouTube, TikTok, as well as calling in on the phone live. All right, fantastic. Okay, so let's keep going with the questions. The next question is from John Seshmu. How did our ancestors get their names like Atum, Amun, etc.? They got those names from our language because really those tones vibrate and have a frequency, and it was related to their nature, you know, and that's the practice that we still have till this day. And some of them were initiated, and when they were initiated into certain orders, they were given names. You see, so it's the same principle where we initiated. And when we talk about initiations, we always have to emphasize and be very clear. Our initiations do not have anything to do with religious initiations in terms of, you know, offerings of, you know, animals or spilling blood or any weird rituals. Like, we don't do that, okay? So they receive their names based on the school or the initiation that they've gone through. It's kind of like saying, as a person today, you may be someone that has many titles. So, for example, you could be a male, but you can also be someone that has a profession, such as an engineer. You could also be someone that has a family or children. So you can be a father, you can be an uncle, you know, you can have many titles that are describing what you are, your characteristics. So, like you say, the names such as Amun would be, you know, the hidden one, and it will be, you know, it will be based on the person's personality and their nature. And so the elders would watch you, and you'll have a naming ceremony, and they will give you a name based on, you know, how they have studied you in terms of your nature and how, you know, you are. All right. Okay, so there's actually a video on language from one of our brothers, Kafre, if you haven't seen that. It's recently, you know, back to basics. That's the brother I'm talking about, and he breaks down, you know, the meanings and the names from like the 8 Ogdoads and then to the 9 Enneads, you know. So they were like, for example, the names you've mentioned here, you'd have two people. So with us, everything is in balance. So male and female, Amun and Amunet, for example, or Amuntat. Yeah, and that will basically be like the male and female principles dealing with the aspect of nature that they're related to. So yeah, watch that video. That will give you even more information. Okay, Zamal, this is again from Pharaoh Halo. Zamal, can we go into the microchips our master teacher spoke of in the Leviathan books, because this digital tracking ID is coming in now? Yeah, again, it's funny because for people that are surprised or shocked or don't know about these things, the master teacher was warning us as the guide. It was teaching us and preparing us for many years about what was to come. Because remember, I said he is from a world that is way, way advanced and ahead of us. And a lot of the technology that is being implemented on the planet today has come by way of extraterrestrials, or, you know, information being traded and so forth. So he was telling us this in those books, like you said, Leviathan 666, The Beast, all right? And books like, yes, it's here. And books like The Year 2000 and What to Expect, the Millennium books, the Luciferian Conspiracy. You know, there were so many books that The Man from Planet Risk, and a lot of these are still available that you can get from the store, yeah, nashat.co.uk. And so, you know, the Revelation books, he was explaining what the mark of the beast is. And when you say the digital tracking ID, ID is identification, right? So we already have many IDs. You have a driver's license, those who do. You have a passport. These are all forms of ID, right? Now, it's just been, and most of those have evolved as well, where you now have biometric, which is digital. And when you read the scanning code that is on them. And so you have to ask, like you say, what's the purpose of a new one when you already have an ID system? But now we're going into, as you say, the digital age, or we've been in the information age for a long time. Everything is becoming more digitized from an analog system. So now it's a matter of synchronizing and connectivity with everything. So when you're talking about the world government or the new world order, this is something again that was spoken of in those books I've mentioned. And so yes, it is something where it is actually, yeah, something where you're able to, it's programmable, you're able to be monitored, and you're able to connect everything from where you are. You know, 15-minute cities are being implemented, online banking systems, traveling. Literally every facet of your life can be accessed or controlled in some way, shape, or form with Big Brother. I mean, like, Big Brother is, again, what does that tell you? The all-seeing eye, the Big Brother that's watching you all the time. And technology is here. You know, you have 5G in terms of, you know, connectivity. You've got AIs here. Everyone's using, you know, ChatGPT and all these new AI tools. So yeah, you have to embrace it to some degree, because you can't really avoid it, especially if you're living in the West. But it also has aspects of it which, whether you like it or not, is going to be controlling. And so we need to know and be prepared and be guided by one who knows what's the way and how we should navigate through it all. Okay. The best thing I keep telling you is to come home, come close, come and be amongst those that are being protected and guided by way of Partner Babyanun. So I don't know when you say there's microchips in everything. Like, you know, even animals have been chipped for ages so that they can locate them because you've got satellite. Cars are chipped where if your car's lost, the satellite can find your car. It can be programmed from afar. Like you've got the, you know, Tesla cars and electric cars are here, self-driving cars are here. Nothing that we're seeing is a surprise to us as people that have been walking with the master for so long, you know, and there's a solution for everything, you see. So yeah, so I hope that's answered that question for you. Jeremiah, the beginning page 166 to 167. Zamal, I think I've got it next door. Can you grab that for me? I might. Oh, I see, I got it. Right, the beginning, right? So you're talking about this scroll here, and you're saying that page 166 to 167 talks about three creations, where it makes a distinction between the Sumerian story of 5,000 years ago and the Adam story of the Bible and Quran 4,000 years ago. Is the Adam story dating back to 4,000 years ago relating to the Pleiadians? I'm confused about the 6,000 years. Yeah, it's because, right, I'm going to go to the page, but it's because when we say 4,000 years ago, you have to count backwards from the year 2000 because we're in the 2000s now, roughly. We know we're in 2025, but from the year 2000 was when the 6,000 years actually ended. So you're counting backwards because remember that the calendar is different now. So you're dealing, it's the Gregorian calendar, but you started this millennium from 1 AD. Okay, that's where you started to count from, because before 1 AD you're going BC or BCE, which is, you know, before the Christian era. So you're counting backwards from the from 2000 to 1 AD, and then you're going to count 4,000 going the other direction, BC or BCE, right? So you're dealing with roughly 4,004 years ago, adding to 2025. But we're just rounding it up to where the cycle ended in the year 2000 AD, where the new cycle began, the new 24,000 year cycle. So you're adding that 2,000 years plus the 4,000 years to give you the 6,000 years. But let me go to the page to read it. You say page 166 to 167. Okay, here we go. It's great that you're studying and reading. 166. I read from, how can an Egyptian supreme being witness the creation of the Hebrew God, right? So the answer is because the Bible grafted their stories from the Egyptian stories and left the name Amun as Amen or Amen in their scripture without an explanation as to why an Egyptian supreme being is in the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim scriptures. If you were to ask your preacher to explain this, he or she would not be able to, simply because it would take them back to the birth and creation of the Egyptian supreme beings, right? The Netiru or Netirat, who came forth from one supreme being named Re or Ra, later combined with Amun and became known as Amen Ra or Amun Ra. So the birth of these Egyptian supreme beings will take you back to the beginning of creation more than 10,500 years ago. Because when you ask some of these so-called scholars, how old are the pyramids, right? They will tell you 10,500 years ago, even though we know they're much older than that. But in any case, if they say the pyramids are 10,500 years ago, then they're admitting that the Bible, Old Testament, which is only 4,000 years ago, plus the New Testament, which is 2,000 years ago, which includes the Quran of 1,400 years ago, giving you the 6,000, saying that 10,500 years ago is still way before. So 10,500 years ago, for that was the first creation story, meaning the Egyptian had a creation story that predates all the other creation stories. Then it goes on. Then the Sumerian story was the second creation story, dating back more than 5,000 years ago. Okay? And then the creation of the Adam of your Bible, i.e. in Genesis 2:7 and Quran 49 verse 13, was the third creation story, dating back around 4,000 years ago. Each story of creation from different cultures all over the world originated from the ancient Egyptian story of creation. Okay, so and then it obviously goes on. This book is called The Beginning because a lot of people want to know, well, what is the beginning? And you have different beginning stories, like the Genesis story, which is only talking about, we explain that the story starts off with the term Genesis as if that's the beginning, and people say they think that's the beginning. Even the chapter of the book, right? That's a translation. And when you say Genesis, you're saying the genealogy or the genes that relate to Isis, which is going back to the Egyptian stories, all right? So what we're saying is that this book talks about the fact that there are many beginnings. It's not just one beginning, because the book starts off and saying in the beginning. And there's a difference between being inside something and outside of something. So my juice here, Miss Iris Moss, yeah, that's dealing with sea moss, which has many minerals that are great for you. So we drink that to keep ourselves healthy. But anyway, so I'm saying the juice is inside something, right? It's not outside of it, because people will try to say, oh, it's in and out. No, that's like humans trying to justify the fact that if you say God is inside heaven, heaven has to contain it, which will mean God is not everywhere at the same time. So when he says in the beginning, not at the beginning, and you find out that those stories are not the originals, and it's somebody talking about God saying in the beginning God did this and God did that and God did this, right? So what the master is saying here is to explain to you that all of those books are plagiarized or taken from ancient Egyptian stories, and the word Amun is a deity, because when you look at the word the way it's spelled, Amun, you can replace the vowels, right? In ancient, they say Semitic, but we say Shemitic languages, because the Amen that is said at the end of every prayer is replacing the U with the E. And then all monotheistic religions say Amen at the end, or Amun, really. And they say Amin in the Quran and in the Arabic. So it's showing you that there's a tie or connection. When you say Genesis or genealogy of Isis, you're tying into Egypt, you see. So he's explaining that a lot of people are talking about the Anunnaki stories with the Sumerians, but what they're calling Egyptians predate that and go way, way before that. All right. And again, we didn't even use that term Egyptian. That was a Greek word coined from Aegyptos, which is the Greek saying or describing a situation that took place with people that came into Egypt, referred to as the Hyksos or the Hyksos dynasty, and the Phoenicians and certain beings that came there, and they were getting burnt by the sun because of a lack of melanin. So therefore they were referred to as burnt faces. And that's where the word Egypt kind of evolved from. All right. Right, let's keep going. So many questions to get through. Remember to join the Telegram group, because if we don't get through all the questions, we will answer them in the Telegram group, which runs constantly. Yeah, so to answer your question, it is relating to the Pleiadians, because remember that the Pleiadians were the ones that were responsible for what's the word, influencing or telepathically influencing Yakub to graft the Flugerod, and then from there eventually you had, the Anunnaki and other beings that then grafted the Adamites of 6,000 years ago. So remember the link what I made before with the Pleiadians being really the origins of these Caucasian. When we say Caucasian, not every Caucasian, but those original Flugerods, and also them coming from that graftation with the genes of those Pleiadians to produce the Adamites. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. We have, try and pronounce, I can't pronounce your first name. It's Mitho Hosisi Zondu. Rahubat, my brother. I'm watching from South Africa. Okay, it's just greetings, Rahubat. Yeah, good to know where you're watching from. We've got another question. Class conversations. Greetings to all. Okay, from USA, New Jersey. Rahubat, greetings. Welcome on board. D. Brown, my question is my OSM, Mr. OSM. I'm not Mr. OSM, but thank you. My question is, Mr. OSM, was Adam and Eve giants, or if the Anunnaki were giants, how did they have sex with the females at that time? Again, the impression people are getting when they hear giants, and because of social media and all the AI that are putting all these kind of videos on YouTube, people are looking at giants as being a lot bigger than they really were. So they're like between 6 foot to 9 foot, some maybe a little bit taller. But the thing about having sex is, it's funny because you said, how were they able to have sex with the females at that time? I mean, it's like looking at today on the planet Earth, you have tall people, you have short people. And just because I think you're thinking because you're big and tall that the genitals are going to be really big or something. But it's like saying, how do the basketball players of today have sex? Of course, their DNA had to match in terms of the chromosomes, because you have to be compatible to produce offspring, or there will be some form of defect. So when we're talking about these giants or the Nephilims, you're talking about, yeah, they were tall, but they weren't tall and as exaggerated, in those videos and stuff. All right. But the thing is, they had sex because they were the same in terms of genetically. That's why we say, it tells you that the sons of God had sex with daughters of men. Mind your own. Thank you for answering my question. I'm from Georgia, USA. Okay, that's from Mind Your Own, Rahubat, and appreciate love you. Thank you. Who's inside 3A Atlas? This is from Raziel. Extraterrestrial. Remember, we've explained to you an extraterrestrial is anything that is coming from outside into our planet, right? So a meteorite is an extraterrestrial. But I know what you're saying. You want to know the details, but like we keep saying, not everything we teach is going to be publicly divulged. So come closer, go to the bookstores, get the updates, stay close to the master teacher, and read the scrolls, and you will get the answer. But yeah, I mean, all kinds of speculation and rumors are being spread about through our atlas. But even the name, like, just because it's labeled that doesn't mean that's what it's called. It's like we're speaking. Most things are named after people that discover them or uncover them. All right. So we will tell you when we know, but we know it's an extraterrestrial coming to a terrestrial plane. Let's keep going. Okay, one word a day. The fact that they don't have melanin, from my understanding, is what's causing them to have mental, spiritual issues. What is your thoughts on that? Okay, yes, melanin is actually really important because you have different types of melanin, including neuromelanin. We have a book that goes into great detail by the master teacher known as the Melaninite Children, which deals with melanin in the most profound way that it has ever been broken down and written. But everything does have melanin. The difference is that some people are recessive in their melanin reproduction and others are able to produce it abundantly. And the more melanin you have, and depending on what type of melanin, will affect you mentally, spiritually, you know, pretty much in every shape or form. So if you read the neuroscience, okay, there's an actual fact called Neuroscience of Wu-Sabat. It explains the functions of brain melanin and how, like the process of the suit known as newts, right? Brain newts, or the suit that needs to heat to a certain temperature in order for you to be able to function and behave and act on higher vibrations. So yes, that ability for that soup to be heated to the required levels, Adamites don't have that, and that causes that malfunction that you're talking about. So yes, there is a relation and a correlation to melanin and its functionality. Okay, but if you go into more detail, the master also explains that the development. If you look at trying to remember the master secret, the one that designer genes, an actual fact, and the master secret designer gene talks about the development mentally. The males of the Adamites, it's only developed to the age of a 13-year-old. You see, so you're right that your development from your neuromelanin and the ability for your brain suit or newts to heat up to the right temperature to function properly is an issue for them. Okay, let's keep going. Rahubat, I am Abilene, Texas. Texas technician, Rahubat, welcome on board. Okay, Damien Hayes. Grace and peace, loved ones. I have question. Why would your master teacher not teach you that the day is even his master teacher? That's your opinion. That makes no sense because when you say the day, what are you calling the day? And the day is his master teacher. That's your opinion, and it makes no sense when you use sound right reasoning, right? Because day and night are based on you being in this atmosphere to watch and see how you literally travel between two places where there's a shadow that you cross over to get into what you're calling day, and that is just dealing with the information in this atmosphere. And you would have to be someone who's on a plane, for example, to watch what you're calling day and night. I've traveled, and many people will attest to traveling from one place where it was day and cross over if they're awake and not asleep and see them going into what you're calling night. So you have no clue or idea what our master teacher has taught us. And people such as you that just come on the platform and make statements as if you have an authority on what we teach or what we know, you really need to, if this is not the platform for you, then go follow whoever you want to follow, because you're making a statement and it's inaccurate, and this is a Q&A. If you want to ask a question, ask a question. Don't say, why would your master teacher not teach you that the day is even his master teacher? Makes absolutely no sense. How does the day teach you? Anyway, let's not give that too much energy. Swiftly, if you want to learn and study and humble yourself, we'll be happy to take any proper questions that you may have, or just go and do something else. All right, let's keep going. D Brown, Mr. OSM, how did Noah had all these sons in the same year by the same woman? Is that genetically realistic? You haven't provided any quotes. I know, yeah, it's a triplet, but the way it was said is like, how did Noah had all these sons in the same year by the same woman? Is that no? That's misinformation, and that's what we teach in Wu-Sabat. In fact, how do you even know Noah existed? This is going back into these religious books that trap your mind and teach you. What's up? We got a call. We're gonna come back to that because that's not real. Okay, ring back, caller. Yeah, that's not true information, because you can't have three children from the same two people that come out with different genetics.
Hello.
Rahubat caller. Rahubat caller, can you hear me? I can't hear you if you can hear me. Is this still on?
Hel- Yes, hello, hello, hello,
Yeah,
Rahubat.
Rahubat, I can hear you now. Go ahead. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Okay, okay. My name is Victor Patrick and I'm from Tanzania.
Rahubat, what's your
Okay, I
question?
would like to ask you about the extraterrestrials.
Yeah, what would you like to know?
Uh, 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 do they have another realm like us? Like maybe the first realm, the second realm, and the other realm.
Yes, in the sense that you got different extraterrestrials that are able to shapeshift, change their molecular structure, appear in different dimensions at the same time, and go back. So, yeah, there are different types of extraterrestrials and they have different abilities. And
Okay, okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Uh, do we share the rams? Maybe because even them they have physical body
That's what I'm saying.
and the spiritual body.
We do share realms, and that's why you may be affected from a realm and not realize it. So, for example, you have a spiritual body that when you go to sleep, your physical body is in a slumber, but your spiritual is able to travel and leave your body and go, and is more active in the spiritual realm. And there are, when we say realms, we're talking about vibrations and frequencies and densities as well. So this is why you might be affected by a being mentally from the mental realm. You see, so it's important to be aware that you can travel and go to these different realms, and beings that are traveling on those vibrations or wavelengths can actually take control of your body or jump into you or fuse with you and then affect your thinking, your abilities in terms of what you're doing. And a lot of the times these are referred to as walk-ins, and they can even through music is frequencies that are being sent out when you're listening to it, radio waves and many other waves that are going to have an impact on your being and how you behave if you're not aware of all of these different vibrations and frequencies that can affect you. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's okay. It's good. But I would like to know. I've heard you say that our original ancestor is Panatharu,
Yeah.
and there is another extraterrestrial, another race for extraterrestrials, which is uh, the planet Nibiru. Is that exact?
The planet
And
Nibiru is a
in
craft.
this planet, there's another being like Anu, Enki, Enil. Those are the extraterrestrial from Anunnaki.
That's right. They are Anunnaki, but the word Anunnaki is
Okay,
describing.
let me first let me finish to my question.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
My question is the this extraterrestrial from Anunnaki is look like they are the most 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 high beings, Anu, who is living in nine ether realm. How
What?
about our ancestors Panatharu?
Sorry, what's that last part?
Uh let me make it clear. There
Okay.
is a nine ram, right? And this right ram is the most being who exist in that ram.
The question is
And
who?
the most high of the most being of the nine ram, you said that is Anu.
No, I didn't say that. I said it's the Natharu. I said I
Is
knew.
Panatharu.
Yes, I
Okay,
knew.
what is who is the most high of the Panatharu? Who is the most high for our ancestor Panatharu? Because we have a lot of beings who we claim that is our
Sorry.
original ancestor,
Can I
and they
can
are
I actually
from
answer the question?
planet
Look, you're
Nibiru.
not, brother. Listen and pay attention, because when we keep trying to say there's one being that is God, Allah, the Most High, etc., because of religion, you have you got a device that is on? You need to mute it so that we don't get the echo, please.
Okay, I muted it.
Yeah. So I'm saying that people get titles mixed up with people. So when we say Anu, that's just a title that any one of the Anunnaki can hold. And there have been different people in that position or seat. Okay. And it was even being contended by Anu's brother known as Alalu. Okay. So there are different people that have held that position, and I use the analogy of someone holding the president's position or the prime minister's position, and different people can hold that position. So when you're saying the most high of the Anunnaki is whoever is sitting in that seat at the time, and that is the being that most people are looking to and calling God or the most high or Allah, etc., in religion. However, when you're dealing with us as Parnatharu, we have councils of beings. You have three, then you have nine, like the council of nine. Then you have the
Yes,
24.
I would like to know them.
Okay, if you'd like to know them, then you have to read the books and study the scrolls and be taught who they are. I'm not gonna go into all of them now because as I was saying, you have 3, you have 9, you have 24 elders, okay? And these beings, they hold positions. So right now, you have one of them amongst us who is the 3, referring to the being known as Malachi. Yeah, that
Who is
word.
master teacher?
Right, but he has 3 beings in one. Ningish Zida is another one, and Yanun is the third one. Okay, these beings
Yes.
have time to convey and give us certain information, and then they may leave. Okay, but then you have the Council of Nine. Again, if you want to know more about this, read the scroll called the Nine. Then you have the 24 elders, and all of these beings work together, and one will come like Ptah. That's who we call, or if you had to use a term to say God,
But this
that will be
24
Ptah.
elders, it is related to the Bible. Those
What's
24 elders in
related
the
to the
Bible.
Bible? Now I'm saying the biblical stories are trying to convey the stories of the Sumerian doctrine mixed up with the Egyptian stories, which is where the original creation stories are taken from. So when we're saying atom in ancient Egypt, that becomes atom in the scientific world in trying to explain how creation comes about, because when you're dealing with creation, you're dealing with things on the physical side, which deals with atoms, and then you go beyond what they're able to measure, which goes into the etheric world, which people will call different words like the spirit world, etc., etc. But in our doctrine and teachings, we know that you're going deeper into the ether. So the beings that are the highest are known as the Etherians, or those beings that have pure energy, dealing with pure ether energy. All right, and that is the energy that surrounds and has everything contained within. But you can also have ether at lower levels or density or vibrations. You follow? So an Ethereum being can actually slow down and come and personify and take form in the physical form, and that we refer to that as an incarnation. Okay, so that's where Parnabab Yanun is the incarnation on the planet right now. Do you follow? Okay, I hope that's helped you. But you got to study the scrolls, read Natural Ether Energy, which is a master secret. Read the physical ethers, so you can start to learn more about etheric, or the Etherians, or the etheric world, which we are connected to. Okay, let's keep moving on. Exotic exploristic. Okay, this is where you ask the questions. I was on TikTok laughing out loud. Do you have any personal experiences of your own with other beings where they came and gave you information? Yes, I do. I actually do. I mean, that's the question. Yes, I do. One word, but people's personal experiences are their personal. It's called personal because it's personal to them. Many people have personal experiences, and we literally don't try to explain or break down your personal experience because it's personal to you. Now, that might be something that you need to work out and find out and learn more about to know why you had that experience. It may be an experience to help you learn or clarify or confirm something for you. That's why everybody cannot have the same experiences. So if somebody's seen a UFO or an extraterrestrial before, that's their personal experience. They might try and tell you that, but you haven't had the same experience, so you can't really confirm nor deny their experience. So yeah, there are many types of experiences that you have as you grow, as you elevate, as you learn more about the different things that we teach in Wu-Sabat. Okay, let's keep going. One word a day. Mind your own. Is there any bookstores? I'm Moorish American, Sunni Muslim, trying to find bookstores in books on the ancient Egyptian science. I'm trying to see. You didn't say where you are, so you just said mind your own. Is there any bookstores? I'm Moorish American, Sunni Muslim, trying to find bookstores in books on the ancient Egyptian science. If I mean, go on our website, and there are many bookstores listed on there, but I'm not sure where you're from because you didn't mention that. Okay, let's keep going. Wise words. Is Enki here on Earth? Also, is Enki living in Atlanta, Georgia, going by the name King Yahweh? No, he's not. Enki's the last we were taught, or that I recall of Enki, is on Nibiru. But remember, as I said, these beings can come and go. So where exactly they are right now, they can come. Remember, they can come and go. Nana comes here and goes, and other beings can come and go. So I don't know anything about. I mean, all these people that say they're here, living here, like this person called King Yahweh or whatever, you have to question them. Ask them to prove who they are, you know. I don't know anything about Enki living in Atlanta, Georgia, going by the name of King Yahweh. And to be quite frank, how is that really relevant to what we're teaching? We're teaching Wu-Sabat, and we have one amongst us that is higher than all these beings that you keep talking about, like Anu, Enki, and so forth. So we got another call. Okay, maybe their connection is not good. Oh, okay, I go. Oh, let me see if that's good. Hey, Rahubat, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question, please?
Oh, I'm actually live. Oh, how's it going, Second? It's T from the UK.
Hey, Rahubat T. I'm good.
Nice one.
How are you?
Yeah, I tried to call a few times, but it must be my phone or something. Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there something called like the primal universe, and does it exist?
The what? Sorry.
The primal universe. Is there something called a primal universe?
Yeah. Again, you know, people will use various and different terms, right? But that information is in the holy tablets as well. When you say prime, what you're saying is first or prime creation. So you have.
So would that be classed as like original as well?
Yeah.
Would that be called
primary
original?
creation? Then you'll have tertiary creation. You see, so the prime, that's what you said, the prime meat or the prime. It's like primary. This is where you start before you go into secondary. You see, so you have primary, secondary. So I mean, so prime is dealing with first, or the original, and that's where we are as the original primary creation.
Okay. Also, as there's like many different universes and stuff. Does the universe or like the different universes have their own willpower in terms of how, or like parameters, how they're like created and stuff, where they can, where
they're
if
alive.
you're in them, if you're in them, they have different things that you can do just in that actual universe, and like a different universe might have different parameters. For instance,
exactly.
if you're,
That's
for instance, like, you know, like light.
Yeah.
If light's traveling in a different universe, would it travel faster or slower? Would that be possible?
Yeah, because there are different rules, and this is where the master has been explaining to us by way of a writing called the atomic, okay? The atomic
Atomic,
reading. If
okay.
you haven't read that, look into that. But
Definitely.
this is, have you watched the movie called Doctor Who? Not Doctor Who, Doctor Strange, thank you. Doctor Strange in the multiverse.
No, I can check it out though.
Yeah,
I'll
check
do
it
that
out
later.
because this is what we're talking about. When we're saying multi, we're saying more than one. Like as uni means one. Universe is one universe, but then you have like dualverse, triverse, and then multiverse and go into the omniverse, right? And in that movie, they show you him traveling through the different verses. Because remember, when you say a verse, it's something that's it's repeating. Like
Indeed, yeah.
in music, you have verse 1, verse 2, or plays or whatever. So you're talking about in that movie, they show him, and it's actually really a good visual representation of going through different universes and the rules and how they work in those universes, you see. So there's some
Okay.
universes where, or some realms where things are upside down. So like how we
Oh
are,
wow.
where we are, everything is the opposite direction. And like you say, there are different rules that govern. It's like even when you go between the physical realm and the spiritual realm and the soul realm and the mental realm, these have different rules of engagement and different rules. So like you can't run. You notice in your dreams, you can't run. You can't, like, you can fly and you can do certain things in these.
Yeah, oh, that's crazy. Like, all right then. Like when you go to sleep and stuff, like when you're dreaming or something, can you actually fly? Like,
Yeah, people fly all the time. Like, especially when you're astral projecting, meaning that your
is that
astral
what it's
body.
called?
Yeah,
One time, like I had a dream, yeah, but like, imagine like you have a dream and then like 2 weeks later you drive past somewhere and you think, oh wow, I kind of remember this, like deja vu sort of thing. And
yeah,
then you remember like, I remember this from a dream from like 2 weeks ago, say, but then when you was here at this place, you was in the air and you was like,
that's
like
right.
floating across the air and you just remember like this building or something like that.
Yep,
And
that
obviously
is,
you're saying it's possible.
it is. That's what's happening because you have a counter being, right, which is you, or
I remember that you mentioned something where you have like, I think you said something like that is possible, and you have like an etheric cord that like stretches depending on how long you like, you're traveling, and you can bring yourself back and stuff
that's
like that. Is
right.
that like the
That's
same thing?
exactly right. The same thing. Yeah, because you have
Okay,
a counterpart that is experiencing things, and then you, the physical one, will share information between that being. And like you say, you may have been somewhere, or that your counter being has been there, and then you now go there physically, but you remember it because that information has been shared with you from your counter being. You get it?
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just another question, I think. Let me see if I can remember it.
Okay.
Okay, back in the day, there used to be a program like it's like a while ago. Like I just remember this the other day, called the Tomorrow People. I'm not sure if you remember it, where they could talk like telepathically and teleport and stuff like that. And also there was a program that I watched before called Jumpers, where
Yep.
the gentleman could actually physically like just move to a different like location just physically though. It wasn't
Yeah.
like in spirit form. He actually took his whole
Yeah.
body there and he could move different things with him. Is that
Sure.
something that's possible?
Yes,
Or is that just like a
this is
movie?
no,
Really?
most of what they teach you in movies is it's not a coincidence. Like they don't just come up with these things. That if you go on the website and go to
Mm-hmm.
the where it says the Black Messiah, ask any
Mm-hmm.
question. There are some readings on there. I went through one of them when I was reading about the Riskians, and you read that it explains to you that Riskians can teleport. They can just take themselves anywhere.
Reggae, yo! Really, brother?
Yes,
Are
we
they
we
like in
have
their
that
physical
ability
form
too.
and they can teleport? Or is it
Yeah.
like spirit form?
No, physically they can teleport and go anywhere they want
What?
to. And they can not only
No.
do that, but they can move the entire environment with them. Do you know what I
What?
mean? Yeah. So
And that's like a power that only like the Riskians have.
yeah, because they've evolved to a state. That's what I'm saying. That once you learn and evolve and elevate yourself to being one of those beings, you can do many things that to us may seem.
It's impossible, like
Yeah,
or like
I mean,
amazing stuff.
look,
In like,
Star Trek was telling you about teleportation, but they were like actually getting into, you know what I mean, getting to a device where they're telling you that they can break you down, you know what I'm saying, into your energetic being and then transport you somewhere and recompose
hold on
you.
a minute. Before, yeah. Oh, sorry. You said they can break you down in your energetic being. What's that? Your energetic being,
Meaning that your energy, right?
energy. Yeah.
Energy has a vibration and frequency. So sound, light, all these things can be actually broken down. And then when you break it down, like, okay, when somebody sings and records music, their voice, etc., it's recorded, isn't it? Digitally. And that digital, where it was a CD or now is downloads,
Oh, I get you now.
is
Wow,
zeros and
bro.
ones.
Like this is phenomenal. It's like there's so much in the universe and like the world. It's like hard to think that these things are possible. It's like we're just living on a lower level.
That's right,
And
because
like
you've not been taught this.
it's
And in ancient times, you were taught all of this information. And this is what the master is here to teach us: levitation, teleportation. People that stumble on these by developing their abilities, they say things like they have the ability like telekinesis, or they're remote viewers. They can like sit here and see something in a different location and dimension exactly as it's taking place. Remote viewing is something that's very well known. People can astral project. You know, people can do many things, but they just don't have full control over how to do it. So this is
okay.
where the four higher senses we keep talking about, like your, you know, receiving your barothry gland, so you can have full access to like telepathy, which is what you mentioned before, where you can speak mind to mind. So they will show you these in movies, or like people that have been abducted by extraterrestrial will tell you that they were communicating with me without their mouths moving or me hearing any
Yeah,
sound.
like okay.
That's mind to
Huh?
mind communication. You
So
got,
like those kind of beings, have they got a barothry gland? Is that why they can do that, or is that like a different power? Okay.
they're
So
highly
some beings, maybe
advanced.
they can just do this because it's just within them. Maybe their DNA, where they don't need the barothry gland, or is it something that they have to be able to do that?
No, no, this is, they're more intelligent because they're able to use more of their, what we call brain. Yeah, a brain is really you having the ability to access more information to know how to do certain things. This is why all these scrolls, all this information is training your brain. Your brain is like a muscle. Like when you go to the gym and you might push weights and get,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, get your arms stronger. You're doing that with your brain by the amount of knowledge that you're actually acquiring, and put, not just acquiring it, but actually putting it into practice.
Practice, like, yeah, physically doing it as well. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
All
And
right.
also, like these different beings like that are around, like different races, different beings, ETs, extraterrestrials. Obviously, they come in different sizes and shapes. Um, is there like humanoid, like rock life forms, like, and like plant life forms that are like humanoids? Obviously, like humans are like flesh and blood type. So is there like plant types,
Yeah,
rock
that's just
types?
what
Are
we
these
keep trying
things
to
that
explain to people. Like, you have intelligent life forms that are smarter than humans, even microscopic intelligent beings, like what people call diseases and, you know, bacterias.
Mhm.
And, you know, yeah, there are trees and very intelligent beings on the planet that are not, you know, like us, or as a hominid or human in human
Mhm.
form. Yeah. But we just take it for granted because we think that we're the most intelligent. Even when you look at the beings that reside in Shambhala and so forth, these are not, or beings that don't look to us, we might say they look ugly or, you know what I mean, grotesque, but they're looking at you the same way, like you look ugly and grotesque, but you're looking at them like, look
I
at you,
get you
alien. You know what
still.
I mean? So
Yeah, like,
yeah, but
and then
we
I've got
got a
one
lot
more
of
question.
questions to
Yeah,
get through
Joseph.
in the chat.
Sorry.
So
Oh,
yeah, you
yeah, I've
got
got one more question, Joseph. Go
one
ahead, man.
more. Okay.
All right then. All life forms, whether they're humanoid, you know, all these intelligent aliens and stuff like that. Who creates them? How are they created? Are they created in space? I've got so much questions
I
flooding
know. I mean,
my brain. I
again,
can't even
I've
ask all of
addressed
them.
this
Um,
in the past, but they, not every being that is here is from here. And we even did a video telling you that bees are not from here. We did a video, and
Yeah,
people just
that's what I'm getting at, like, because I'm thinking, like, you know, space, because it's like, you know, all like our planets and stuff, they're actually floating in space, or, you know, revolving around, they're in space, yeah. So I'm thinking, like, how were they birthed? Is it like the universe, or is it space that makes decisions? Like, that's what I was asking you about, like the willpower and stuff. Is it space as a willpower that like makes a decision to like make something, develop something? Is that why, like, I'm not talking about like just planet Earth, because obviously, like you said, ETs come from outside. So if they come from outside, it's space that they come from, whether they're living on a different planet or not. And how are they created? Is it just like the universe just like, you know, like makes things like and then, you know, we just develop from them?
I
Or
get
is it
you.
like
Yeah. So the planet is alive, right? We are alive. Everything is alive because you're dealing with cycle of birth, right? Growth, decay, and rebirth. So this is a cycle. So yes, the planet itself is alive, but the planet comes from the sun, which is alive. The sun is a part of a solar system, which is alive. The universe is alive. Every like when we say space, literally, you're talking about everything is actually one and connected, because when you start to break things down, you're dealing with atoms and vibrations beyond atoms, to the point where there are things that you can't see, but they're still there and they exist and they have an impact or an effect on the things
so it's
that.
like space, like one big body, and then at different areas in the space, like in space above us, or all around us, because we're just floating on this planet, yeah. So
Right.
it's like,
Okay, you
is
have.
space
Yeah, go on.
developed from something, or was it just always there? How did
Okay,
space come about?
right. So your concept or what we know as space is really just based on what you can see. Like if you magnify things, you're gonna, what you think is minute, when you go like into the ant world or whatever, you're gonna see more detail. So you have a concept that you're familiar with known as space, matter, and time. Yeah. People think they're separate, but they're actually one. They need each other to, they coexist together. So space, matter, and time. This is what's referred to as the smat circle. You see. So
You made me just
every
think of something else. So who developed all these things? Like, who's developed space,
this
time, matter?
this is the
How did these things
our
come
okay.
about?
Let me make it simple then. The more you
Oh, just
develop,
sorry about this too. Is remember, I'm a bit naive with things. That's why I asked you lots of questions, because you
I
know
know,
a
but you
lot
have to
more than
give me
myself.
time
So
to actually answer
based on
them.
where I am, I do
You're not
apologize. But
letting me
yeah, I want to
finish.
learn. Thank you.
You're not giving me enough time to actually answer the question. So I'm trying to explain to you that the best, like you're in a dimension that is governed by time, matter, and space. Yeah. And what we're saying is that the more you evolve, you're going backwards to where we came from as Etherians or ether, right? Which a lot of people are still just learning about now. And we're saying 76 trillion years ago. And to comprehend that magnitude of what you're calling time, trillions, not millions or billions, right? 76 trillion years ago, we were in air pockets. and this is what we're calling nine ether. Yeah. So those beings are the ones that are responsible for everything that you are conceiving in terms of how things work. Galaxies and universes are actually created by these beings that are elemental beings. You see, so when they manifest it or come, so it's like you're trying to comprehend things that you haven't evolved mentally to be able to comprehend. That's why
Okay,
when you
I get you.
read the Holy Tablets, the Master Teacher says, I'm going to take you to a time period beyond what you have the capability or the ability to comprehend. And then he tries to explain to us these beings that we're calling the Tharu, that are the ones that set the chain of existence in motion and created life and seeded, you know what I mean, planets and so on and
So
so
is this
forth.
what people are calling deities?
Yeah, but the thing is now people are calling, yeah, that's who they're calling deities, really. Those are the real deities. But when beings of lesser degree came from that state and became flesh beings, see, even like saying flesh beings, most people can't really comprehend or grasp beings that are not flesh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I
see what
get
I'm
you.
saying?
It's because that's all we know, isn't it? I
Exactly.
get that.
So these are the same beings that they slow down their vibration, their intelligence, their everything to come here so that they can relate to you, so you can relate to them. But in time, people start to look at them with the abilities they have and call them prophets, call them angels, call them gods, and call them all these names because some of them, like for example, we read in Genesis that the sons of God came down and had sex with the daughters of men and produced children. These became your demigods because they have the abilities from both side. You see, so
So those demigods were like developed from our like ancestors that were in the air pockets, like like gases that you've mentioned, the nine ether beings. So
right,
they were developed from them.
the nine ether beings were responsible for creating sub-supreme beings. So you have beings of the green light that produce beings of the amber light, and then those beings, that's what I'm saying, you'll have to go and read like the holy
Yeah, I'll
tablets
definitely
for
do
this,
that.
where he's
Yeah.
explaining that the lesser beings then like slow their vibrations and then personified. And then you got today, people are terming this good and bad, agreeable, disagreeable, or positive and negative. But originally there was balance and order, and there still is balance and order within the universe and within what they have put in place. But the chaos comes when you have an imbalancement or you allow the beings that are disagreeable to, like they've done on the planet, to make things that are
That sounds like a human's body, where if you're balanced, then you don't have diseases and stuff like that. But if
exactly,
you're unbalanced, then you're gonna have diseases and certain things that take you over, make you sick, that sort of thing. Sounds
exactly,
like a bit like that.
exactly.
Okay.
And that's what's happening where people are now plaguing their body with things that are not good for them, things that like people are, eating flesh. Flesh is not really something you should be consuming, but obviously over time, over many, many years, you adapt based on the things you're putting into your body and the composition. And so, and then you start to lose or forget who you really are as a divine or supreme being. So now you have to reverse that by getting the right diet, right nutrients, right exercise, right, you have to get the right information
So yeah,
to
it seems
to
like
kind
we
of
were
go
in like a
back.
state before where things were balanced, and then obviously something or someone or something has like made us go the wrong way. Basically,
Yeah,
why
that's
things are like
exactly what's
this. It
happened. And
seems
now
like.
the time has come for you to wake up. Those
Yeah.
who actually want to wake up, and they may think this information is crazy, but there are those who it's already in your DNA. It's already something you can resonate with. It doesn't sound crazy to you. It doesn't sound spooky.
Yeah,
Extraterrestrial don't
I
frighten
get
you.
you.
You know what I mean? So But yeah, I'm gonna have to move on.
Yeah,
We've
I'm
got
gonna jump off
loads of
still because I've
questions.
asked enough questions still. But yeah, thanks
Yeah,
again, brother. Thank you very much.
you're
Okay.
very, very welcome.
All right then, one.
Wadu. Pharaoh Halo, I see some info at the side saying the interview will change the world. 12/12/2025. Is it an interview with? That's what we're saying. Just look out for that date. You know, we always raise the bar. We always take it further. We always give you more. And for those who have subscribed, you're gonna get it first. So tune in and just be patient. Be patient and wait. You'll see what we're talking about. But yeah, it's coming. And that's why you have that promo. All right. Yeah, so I see some info at the side saying this interview will change the world. Okay, yeah, look out for that. Let's keep going. How about TikTok doing? Are we good? No questions. No questions. All right. Just checking in. But stay tuned. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, feel it. We could talk all day. We literally could because we got so much. And that's just a snippet of what the master teacher has actually shared with us. One word a day. Rahubat, what is your thoughts on Uranus going into the house of Gemini 2026? I don't know where the source of that information is coming from. We've got another live caller. Greetings, Rahubat. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please? Okay, it's coming back again. It's the connection. Rahubat.
Hello.
Yeah, greetings, Rahubat. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Greetings.
Greetings.
My name is Kerith Muir from Jamaica.
Yes, I remember you. Your voice sounds very familiar. Rahubat, how you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, what's your question for today?
Okay, I was thinking that since you told us that Dr. York Malachi Z he's from another world, so and since he is a Negroid person, does that mean that there are Negroid extraterrestrials that are governing, or I should phrase it this way, are there Negroid extraterrestrials that are monitoring our planet and our world?
Yes.
Okay, so, and their plan is to come and advance us. Am I correct?
They're already doing that because one is here advancing us by way of Wu-Sabat and this affirmation into information that you're supposed to be studying so that it will advance you. And we're doing
So,
these to advance by teaching the information as well.
so can you tell me, these Negroid beings that are monitoring us and our planet, do they have anything to do with the God of the Bible?
They are the beings that people have termed gods, but they were beings that, you see, religion, we keep saying that we predate religion. Religion is something that was devised to help discipline a hybrid creation known as the Adamites, to give them rules and guidance of what to do and what not to do. And we, as the original beings on this planet, had no need for religion because we are the reality of nature that became worshipped because of our abilities. And when somebody is advanced or highly intelligent by what they do, like when people today still try to study the Egyptian culture of the past, they try to study things like the pyramids and how they were built, what were they used for, what was the reason for them. They tried to study the language that's written on the pyramids. What did they say? And they do the same when they go to, other ancient civilizations like the Sumerians and the cuneiform and Chinese, all of these came by way of the original beings that till this day, people are trying to figure out why they did or do what they do. And they're like, who are their offspring? And we're telling you that you are an extraterrestrial of these Negroid beings. You know, we are descendants of these beings. And one has come amongst us, telling us and giving us back our original knowledge, right? Of how we did all of these things and how we can regain and be these supreme beings that we are supposed to be after being, bamboozled and given religion and everything got turned back to front because you forgot who you were by way of spells that were cast on you 6,000 years ago, right? By these beings that had taken rulership for the last 6,000 years, or they were given rulership, shall I say. And now that time has expired. Now that amnesia or that forgetfulness, the ignorance of being on the sixth ether is being lifted. The spell is being lifted. So now you're starting to remember who you are. And the more information you get to explain things that no one else is able to explain, that religion cannot explain, you're getting to know that religion was really something that was devised to help these beings that were, grafted, and they didn't really have much knowledge or information, so they were given this. But now people are using religion as if that's the most important or highest information, but they can't break down and give you answers when you start to ask about who these gods are, where do they come from, where you going when cross over, or what people call when you die, and questions about the spiritual world, questions about death, question about life and why you're here. All these questions, are being answered by way of Wu-Sabat. That's why we say, ask us anything, because you need to know the information. It's like having these phones, these devices, but you don't have no apps or no information to make the device function and be useful. So you are that device, but you don't have the apps or the information, and your programs that you're running are religion and these monotheistic religion or lesser information that is not making you operate at your optimal performance. Does that make sense?
So, yes, but so since these beings don't operate under the restriction of religion, so do they believe that everyone has the right to believe in their own philosophy?
That question is very, very confusing, and that's what we're talking about. Six ether forces. You don't have a need to believe if you know, because belief means like accepting something that you cannot prove or do not know. When you know something, you don't need to believe because you know. Knowledge is much more, important than belief. And beliefs, anybody can believe anything and have any opinion, but that's not the best information or way for you to live. So, yes, anybody has the choice to believe, but why believe when you can know?
Yes. So one last question. So you said that these beings will help us to receive back our barythoric gland if we're worthy of it.
Yes.
So what I'm wondering is, okay, like in the Bible, I'm not saying to you that you must think that these stories are actually literal, but I'm just drawing a reference. So in the Bible, it said that Christ was able to simply touch someone and they would be healed
Yes.
physically of any ailments that they have. And also, the Lord turned Nebuchadnezzar into a beast-like form to where he started eating grass for 7 years as if he were like the cattle. So all those things in the Bible suggest to me that there are beings and entities that can change your physiology without even touching you. So these beings, these Negroid beings that are here to help us and advance us, could they regrow our barytheric gland without actually operating on us, without even touching
Absolutely.
us?
Yes. But again, this is what I'm saying, like the confusion of, I know you're making inference so that we can address the question, but when we keep saying believe and getting caught up in the Bible and what the Bible says, you said it, you may not think is literal, but there are things in the Bible that are literal. There are things in the Bible that are symbolic. There are things in the Bible that are allegory, you see. So it depends on what we're talking about. And without a specific quote to read it, some people will hear things and it becomes hearsay and they add things to what the actual quote or whatever is saying. This is why we say we have to read it, break it down in the language that it was taken from, know what we're talking about. But yes, absolutely. Sound healing, the ability to this, what we were saying, that when you're talking about psychometry, right? And you're talking about the ability to touch and heal people, that's healing. People are doing things called Reiki and stuff like that, which is dealing with understanding the flow of energy in your body. Like you can see that you have meridians or you have many parts of your body. Like it's about understanding the flow of energy. It's about the centers, the people call, like the chakras, and there's a lot to it. So you can heal people by just touching them. Mainly people that they're quite hot, like their bodies are generally very warm or hot. Those are healers, but they have to know how to use these abilities. You see, so yes, when you do receive your barytheric gland, if you are fortunate enough to raise yourself to that, because everyone wants the powers, right? But you have to work, you have to do work to turn yourself inside out so that you're dealing with more of your, what we call your real being, the real you. And then you get those types of powers like healing, touching people. Most of what people call in miracles in the Bible are just, sciences and knowledge that, people knew about.
Supernatural science.
Yeah. And you were taught this in ancient Egypt, like alchemy or all these kind of things. Okay, was that the last question or?
Okay, so the last thing that I'm really going to ask is, like, when it comes to like human consciousness, there are different states of consciousness. So is it possible for, like, if you have a lot of thoughts that are bothering you, can you get put into a state of consciousness where there are no thoughts that trouble your mind and you feel at ease, even if these are thoughts that are very disturbing to begin with?
That's why we have a book called The Mind, because it teaches you what is the mind and how to deal with the mind. And people use practices such as meditation to be able to silence those thoughts, those disagreeable thoughts, or those thoughts, as you say, are going to be discomforting. So these are all things that we've been taught. And this is where you're starting to deal with, like you say, the spiritual aspects of your being. So yes, you can be in a celestial state of mind where none of these thoughts, disagreeable beings, disagreeable situations will have an effect on you. You see, so yes,
Okay.
possible. All right,
All right. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, I've got to get through a lot of questions because time is approaching the end fast. Okay, Saket Ra, in a previous video, you talked about raising the vibration to achieve the green light. Is there a guide on how to do that? I'm in Charlotte, NC, and the family here is scattered, not working as one. Yes, there is. And it's a scroll the master put out called the Science of Healing, which ties into the previous brother's question, where he teaches you about how to heal yourself with the green light, because the green essence deals with healing. Okay, that's why anything healthy is green. When you look at vegetation and you look around you, it's that pulling that green energy. Now, the green light is a glitch because it comes from outside of here. Because listen, you have the three primary colors, right? Which are what? Red, yellow, and blue. Now, to get green, you have to mix yellow and blue to get the green. And that's why the green is the energy that came by way of the green one, right? And in the Quran, he's referred to as Al-Khidir, okay? This is the green one. He has that healing light. But there are other rituals that we are taught in Wu-Sabat of how to heal yourself, you see. So we keep saying to people, come close, and so that you will learn these things. There are many things that are taught by way of the sons of the green light, okay, that we were taught, okay, and that has metamorphosized into what, or it metamorphosized into what became the ancient mystic or mystical order of Melchizedek. Because remember, Melchizedek is the one that Jesus was after, the order of Melchizedek. Jesus was referred to as the prince, and the Melchizedek was referred to as what? The king of Salem, or Salam, which is peace, right? So the green light, or the green one, is the one that controls that healing energy or vibration. And in that scroll, the Science of Healing, he explains in great detail how to do this, how you draw the green light. I'm not going to go into all the details here, but yes, you can learn by that scroll and others on how to do exactly that. And as far as Charlotte, in terms of the beings being scattered and not working as one, you have to start with yourself, and that's something we all have to work on, because we are dispersed and scattered all over the place since our land, our sanctuary was basically, stolen, and then we basically became all over the place. But you have to first start with the mind, because the mind is a state, and the master said, wherever we are, as long as we're united mentally, we are automatically united physically. And it's only a matter of time, because before we're going to come back together in our communities, and there are communities now. So sometimes you may just have to be patient, or relocate, or find peace, where you can find it based on those that are on the same resonant frequency. All right. So yes, Sarket Ra. All right, let's keep going. Rahubat, Damien. Rahubat Maria. Rahubat Saken. I ask for many. What does justice for me look like in Wu-Sabat? Example, I'm drugged, and I don't know if I can say that online, but yeah, I guess I could say that. I'm drugged and raped by a parent repeatedly. I'm bullied, ridiculed, brutalized at school. A lot of those are actually personal things, but we do have within Wu-Sabat our own way of dealing with things. We have like the 33 commandments, we have ethics, we have, a lot of what we have may not be fully implemented at the moment because of what I said, that we're dispersed, but there are elders, we're supposed to, apply these things that we've been taught. And of course, it depends where you are and so forth. So each situation will be addressed individually and based on its merits. But this is why we say, you know, be a part of the center. We do have, like I said, these things in place that we can use to kind of deal with what you're calling justice. But yeah, we'd have to deal with each case on an individual basis. But yeah, it's more of a personal situation. So we would have to know and speak to you on a more personal basis for that. All right. Let's keep going. So reach out, yeah, reach out, and let's see what we can do. Class conversation. I never understood why we aren't classified by species like animals. Take cats, for example, from the lion to domesticated house cats, all cats, but very different. Same with people, different hues. We actually are. That's why I was saying that we have different species within the different root races, and then we have many hybrids that come from that. So the Negroid race has 9 species. Then you have the Dravidian that has 3 species. You have the Caucasian that has 6 species. But each of these species also break down into many different things like, like clans and so on and so forth. Okay. And yeah, in terms of eye shape, eye color, etc., this is where the Sans people of South Africa, being the race that most people's genetics today come from, or their genetic traits can be traced back to. So we have a book, as I said before, the Designer Genes. I can't remember the exact title, but search that. Explains these different, like you say, you can look at someone, look at their ears, look at their nose, look at their mouth, look at their their eyebrows, etc., etc. It's broken down, the different traits that people have, and you'll find like the epipode of like the Asians ties to them. You got the 9 ether curly hair that relates to the Nagaru. You got the dimples. There are many things that you will see, but they all go back to the traits from the Sans people of South Africa. Love you all as the day do. Just felt led to share. We love you too. Divine love as shook, as we say. Pharaoh. See how much questions. Wow, there's so many questions. I'm going to do something just to kind of like make it a little bit fair. I'm going to go from the bottom up. Are we created from the Adamites of before them, and was it Halal or Tahuti in the garden with Adam and Eve? No, we're not created. I mean, there are different Adams, as in the different experiments that took place when we were talking about, say, the Ogdoad, right, where you have, Amun, Amunet, Nun, Nunet, Het, Het, Ket, and Kiket, and then from them you get the 9 Enneads and so forth. So yes, we do have some of us genetically linked with, the Anunnaki, in terms of Enlil and Enki, in terms that Enki went to Africa and he took wives and mixed in with those descendants from Africa. So some beings have the bloodline and to link to these Anunnakis, and others don't. All right. So, but not the Adamites. We're not created from the Adamites of 6,000 years ago. And if you want to know more about who was in the garden with Adam and Eve, there's a scroll called Genesis chapter 3, deals with who was in the garden I mean, I don't want to go too much into that, but you're dealing with the being known as Ningishzida, okay? But yeah, there's more detail to that. Let me keep going. Someone was just confirming that, yeah, they deal with the healing as Reiki Master. Okay, Congress 3. Rahbat Moisa, in a Credo Mutwa origin story, some hermaphrodites were converted to separated into males or females. Who were these people, and are some people today related? Again, I don't know exactly what he was saying. I know he teaches a lot as the information from the Dogons by way of Nomo. But yeah, in terms of them, there's a book called Existence, How and Why that teaches, and I think is that actual fact, about the hermaphrodites and hermaphrodites, but I don't recall anything about the master teaching us about them being separated into male or female, because by way of being a hermaphrodite or hermaphrodite, when you hear the words, it's a her morphing, yeah, let's say her morphing into a he, or hermaphrodite, he morphing or transforming into a her. So in that respect, I can see where that's coming from, but I don't want to give information that I don't have any reference to by way of partner background. Go ahead.
You're gonna have to say it for the mic, yeah?
Okay.
Is there any significance with Malachi being sentenced to 135 years because 1 + 3 + 5 = 9, which is the highest number?
Yeah, I worked that out years ago. So the question is there any significance to Malachi being sentenced to 135 years, which adds up to 9 when you add 1 + 3 + 5? Okay, so yeah, being a 9 ether being the ninth, because the number 9 is the highest number. You could kind of like look at that, because sometimes we have to use our ability to reason as well. Yeah, so I mean, there's nothing specifically broken down about that, but yeah, we don't see that as a coincidence. You see, so yeah, we'll have to ask that question, stay in tune, and we will get more information on that one. Kaiser, he says, Rahobat Saken, can we have a breakdown on the Smithsonian Institute? What does the master teacher Baba say about the Smithsonian Institute? Nothing at the moment, nothing that I know of. I haven't heard anything or know the master teacher to break down anything on the Smithsonian Institute. Perhaps he hasn't, I'm just not aware of it, but I doubt it. But if you ask other student teachers, ask in the Telegram group, we can see if we can get further information on that. I don't know what that's about, the website. Okay, I don't know what that's about. Skip that one. Okay, because I'm reading from the bottom, I'm going to go back to the top, because sometimes there's information at the top that flows to the next part and I'm not catching it. So some of these questions, I don't know where you'll be getting this information from. So can you question on the information about falling skies? You have to give me more detail in terms of the reference, but I know there's a cartoon movie about that, but it depends on what people are calling the sky, because the sky when you go up there, it becomes thin, isn't it? It's like, it's kind of like air. So it's not solid to fall in a way that I think you're describing, but it might be related, it might be symbolic, it might be relating to a craft or something falling from the sky. But yeah, I don't know anything about falling skies. Give me some reference as to where you're getting that information from. Let me go back to where I was from the top. Okay. We covered that already. Let me just have a little juice because my throat, I've been speaking for a long time, and Miss Iris Moss. Unfortunately, if you're not in the UK, can't get that at the moment, but if you are, go to nashat.co.uk. Very, very refreshing and healthy. Salute to the big brother. Who's that? Okay, yeah, I'm back to where I was before. We covered that, so we're back to, yeah. Okay, cover that. Okay, love you all as, okay, cover that. Zamal, I know your master teacher. Higher, I was just saying this Anu needs to bow down to Pa Nababianun Dr. Malachi Zedok York because he's okay. Number one really knows. Oh, no one really knows. That's your name. Can you tell me what are these red, gold, pearl colored, and blue orbs that seems to create their own life that has been following me since? That's, you see, again, that's a personal experience. You're saying that these red, gold, pearl colored, and blue orbs have been following you, following you since 2004. Yeah, that's your personal experience. I have no idea who or what they are. You have to kind of, I don't know, ask them. And I'm not being cynical. I'm just saying, like, we always explain that many people have many different personal experiences, and sometimes you just have to be patient. And if the master teacher was available to answer questions personally for you, then you will get the answer. But we do know that, you know, many orbs, in terms of dealing with from 2024, we saw a lot of orbs, and they were being explained as drones, and some were real, and some people were saying they don't behave and act like drones. I'm not sure how or if that relates to your situation. But I watched a movie called The Day the Earth Stood Still. It's an old movie, but I watched it again and I was amazed to see, you know, I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but if you haven't, it relates to orbs. Go and watch that again. Very interesting. Right, no BS. Top 5 comparables B. Question, Sir Ken, can you comment on the idea of falling skies? Oh yeah, I've already touched on that. Again, where is that coming from? Like, is this YouTube? Is this social media? Is it a book? Is it someone saying it? Because we haven't taught by way of Wu-Sabat about falling skies. So please give more information. Where can I get the books? With the link is in the chat. Zamal, the obelisk antennas that they stole, like Cleopatra's Needle in London, will it work for them or only for us to contact Orion and the Sirius star system? Great question. Yeah, most of the obelisks that you see around the world were taken from Egypt, and some of them, like the one in Washington D.C., the capital, that's normally a representation of the capital city. Capital obviously deals with money or money cap, and they were using it. If you read, I think it's 18 plus 1, 18 plus 1, 37 genes of the mitochondria. That scroll explains and shows you how the obelisk was a communication antenna that they were using to communicate with their overlords, and it was pointing to the Pleiades constellation. However, their overlords have left and have abandoned them because their time is up, and so it no longer works. But that was one of the ways they were using to communicate, because we know that pyramids and these obelisks were used for many reasons, and the pyramids were used as communication devices as well as charging devices for crafts. And yes, there is a certain mystery to the point where it can't work unless you know how to utilize it. So yes and no, in the sense that they were using it, and now it's no longer any use to them because they're not able to communicate with their overlords anymore. Oh gosh, Rosalind, so Ken, can you speak on the difference between the dolphin and the whale and the shark? Um, a little bit, because we actually only got I think 11 minutes left. So the just like any species, you have agreeable and disagreeable if we want to look at it in terms of their natures. Just like, you have the goat and you have the sheep, right? They're different natures. So when you're looking at the dolphins are genetically more linked to us, because the word dolphin actually translates as womb. And the reason is because they are our parents, in the sense that the seed to germinate this planet, to produce us as humanoids, was placed in the dolphin in a capsule, and they came here and literally gave birth in terms of melting the capsules in the waters to germinate the water, and then we evolved from them. Not saying that there weren't other what's the word? Aquatic, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Beings that were evolving for millions and millions of years, but intelligent life forms from the Nataru was seeded into the dolphin, and then we evolved from those, right? So when you start to look at the prototype of the living cell dealing with the protozoa and the amoebas and the single cell organisms, that's the evolution, and we're talking about millions and millions of years. So the dolphin is much more intelligent. It can communicate. It looks at us like you don't know the secrets of where you come from. You go and see people can touch children, go to dolphins. Women used to go and have births. Do some research on this until they stopped dolphins. They get involved with helping them to give birth, because remember, we evolved from the waters onto land. But then you also had other beings or creatures, like you say, like the shark, which is more violent, or eats flesh, and is that's why they made movies like what's that shark movie? Famous one. That's it, Jaws. I think it was like Jaws 1, 2, and people were frightened to go into the waters because they're completely opposite to the dolphins. And the whales, again, they are much more advanced. They're kind of more in between the shark and the dolphin. And obviously, they tell you the story of Jonah and the whale. But yeah, so I hope that's giving you some information, but I can definitely look more into that, because there is a chapter in the Holy Tablets that goes into those particular beings that you've mentioned. Okay, let's keep going so we can get more questions in. Pharaoh, you've asked a million questions today, so let me try and take questions from someone who hasn't, and then we'll come back to yours if we have time. All right.
There's three at the bottom.
Yeah, I see wise words. Okay, I covered already. Thank you on earth. Des Mellow Beats, I haven't. Rahubat Zama, what are the steps needed to take for us as 9 ether people to truly unite and come together as one, away from 6 ether doctrine and control? Man, like, that's $1 million question, but it's actually very simple. It's about you gathering physically, coming together in the things we're doing, because like we say, reading the books and all of that is great, but action speaks louder than words. Helping, getting involved with the work. People don't even take the time to ask, okay, what are you guys working on? What are you struggling with? Or what do you need help with? How can I help? And that help can come in many forms. Helping at the stores, teaching, supporting projects. We have our Project 100 that we're working on, which is helping to rebuild, because people say, we talk about the injustice for the master teacher. Like, there are people that have been listening to us and have been hearing the plight over and over and over again. And sometimes you ask them, have you ever helped, contributed in any way by giving a free will offering, even like $10 or whatever? Have you said, let me help, just from your own like love and the shock of an injustice that's happened to someone? And sometimes people just they're like, they've never thought about it. They're just like, wow, these guys are doing great works. We're trying to build a studio. The legal needs support. And yeah, just go on the website, UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com, click on Free Dr. York and help. And go to any store that you're close to, ask them, what can we do to help? Because every day, even just what we do here, like we need people to help. We have a lot of videos, we edit, we do a lot of work just to bring the information to you. So to unite, first of all, you have to get yourself right. Like, think and use your mind in the best way, and reason, and then go and help and get involved, participate, don't just spectate, and that love has to come from your heart, in terms of, do you truly want us to come together, and do you truly want us to have the things that will mean that we're self-sufficient and self-reliant, and how everyone has skills, everyone has something to bring to the table or something to give. So great question, Des. Mellow Beats, and those are the type of questions that we want people to get to after they've actually, we know you're benefiting from what we're doing, but are you just a taker? You just take, or do you want to give back a little to help us progress? Help OSM Vision reach the next target, which is what, 1 million subscribers. Can you help us do that? There must be skills you have, things you can share the videos, you can repurpose the videos, as long as you make sure that you keep OSM Vision, in the links, and comment, share, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That will help us. Triple, will they give us American Negroes problems trying to return back to our African ancient nations, they being the colonial administrators. Of course, I mean, in the sense of just look at the price tickets to go to your home country compared to anywhere else. And, you know, it's a love-hate relationship because, you know, they love you to be around and do all the work and do things. And, but when you try to leave, it's like, no, because we need you. But it's like a love-hate relationship because you hear people talking about a lot of the immigration problems now at the moment. We kind of really don't get distracted by all of that stuff because, you know, it's like the same problems were around and have been around for a long time. And yeah, we don't get into the, you know, the race wars and the racism. That's why we say no one wins the race in racism. But yeah, you should still come closer and work together to see how we can make that journey. Where are we? Got 2 minutes left. So last couple of questions. Class conversations. Is Nibiru the same as the mothership spoken of in the Quran and as well as the wheel seen in Ezekiel's? No, they're different crafts. The mothership is the crystal city, okay, that is spoken about. Ezekiel's will is another craft that he saw. This is why today many people are seeing different types of crafts because there are different types of crafts. There's cylinder shaped crafts, there's crown shaped crafts, they're what people call saucers, flying saucers type shaped crafts. There's Nibiru, which is like looks like a planet. There's so many different crafts, and each it's like it's a fleet of crafts. So like an airline will have different crafts. It's the same when you're dealing with Nibiru. There are different Nibirus or many crafts called a Nibiru that come out of the bigger one, or the, you know, the Nibiru doesn't come into our atmosphere. And the mothership was spoken about by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad dealing with the crystal city, which is spoken about in the books of Revelation. Revelation 21, I believe. How can the master teacher be free in this world? It depends on what you're calling free, but free as in the physical body not being locked up and incarcerated in ADMAX. But obviously freedom, there's mental freedom, there's spiritual freedom, there's different types of freedom, but we're talking about the physical body to kind of be amongst us, and he will be doing that, all right? Very soon, very soon. We love him, we care, we keep fighting until he is going to be physically free amongst us. That was Iz or IZ. Remember, if you would like to do a one-to-one with me, Saken, you can email, right, info@osmvision.co.uk, and we can get you booked in. We have a schedule, and yeah, we can have that one-to-one. We can do it from wherever you are as well, so it doesn't always have to be physical. You can be on Zoom and we can do it, all right? It's a privilege to speak to different people around the world. Jar King, I think this is the last question for the day. Is this the reason why some places in the USA makes it illegal to interact with the dolphins? Exactly, because they started to know, as I said, they communicate, they use echolocation, and it was really helping women to have children in a much more easy way. And the last question for the day. I've been trying to properly interpret why I fly in majority of my dreams. 40 plus years now. I also have visions while awake that are premonition of what's coming. Yeah, we've spoken about this. People can time travel, remote view, travel astrally, and you got to learn about your powers. And what we keep telling people, that we're supreme beings. We just lack the information to know what to do and how to control it. And this is definitely the last question, and it will look like we've covered everyone. How does something always exist? How does something not have a beginning or an end? Simply because we're dealing with cycles. Because when we say the all, you cannot take from and you can't add to, because it's constant transformation. Why we say circles or cycles, because you go from hot to cold, up, down, life, birth, death. Everything is in cycles. And that's how it's been planned and set up by our ancestors on Daru. Right, that's it, folks. We've come to the end, and we want to give love a shook to everyone who joined us today, all those on TikTok, everyone that called in, everyone that helps us, support us, like, share, subscribe. All right, until next week, same time, same place, I'm Saken signing out. Our souls matter. Peace.